Okay, for today's art project, we are going to focus on the Mona Lisa, and we talked about the Renaissance and Leonardo da Vinci, who painted the Mona Lisa, in this week's reading assignment and in our lesson. So today's art assignment is a really fun one, and we're going to create a parody of the Mona Lisa. A parody is when we take a famous painting and we add something fun to it, or we put it in a funny setting. So I'm just going to show you some examples of what students have done in the past. You're going to get this handout that's just the Mona Lisa's head and her arms, and what your task is to do is to create a really creative design or background and idea of how you want the Mona Lisa to be represented. So these are a couple really great different options you can do that students have done in the past. So I love this one. This is a gymnast. And I want to point out in all of these that they're very creative in the background. They don't just leave the background plain. They give her hands something to do. So this one, she's resting on a balance bar. She's a gymnastics. This next one, she's a rock star and holding a guitar. And again, I love that they added some features in the background and made it really colorful. This one, she's a monkey, so they kind of, this person cut out her hands and the face and pasted it down on a new piece of paper so that they can play around with where the hands were. So if you want to do that as well, you can always cut out the hands and the face and paste it onto a new page. But I love that they added this detail too in the background. It's nice to see a horizon line, which is where the ground and the sky meet, and that they've included it, and they've covered the area, that it's not just, you know, doing something with her body and then that's it. They did a background. This one is a little bit different, that they put her in a flower, and they used her hands as like leaves, an extra set. So I like that as well. And again, they did background. They colored it very nice. This one here, she's a dancer, so she is in action jumping up, which is really cool. And again, they put her in a dance setting. So not only does her outfit mean something, but also the place that you put her in. So that's really important. Here's another rocker, which is a lot of fun. This one, the person again cut out her hands and her face and tilted them when they glued them down to a new piece of paper, and they made her sleeping. And I love that they made this as the background as her bed. They put a little door and a window. So part of the assignment is to create, you know, what are you going to do with her? But then the other part is the background. So you should be doing a drawing of the Mona Lisa's body and then also her background. Here she's a baseball player. And I just think these are so creative, so many different ideas you can do. I love them. So I hope you enjoyed seeing a preview. All right, we're going to get started on what I'm going to do to show you guys how to create it. So I've printed out the template, and I always like to sketch in pencil. You'll see here that I switch over to a Sharpie just because it's a little bit hard for you to see. But where I'm going right now at her neck is a great area to put her shoulders. Some people go a little bit too far up on her head or down too far. And it just looks kind of funny. So make sure you're paying attention where you put her arms to come out of and her shoulders. Also where you put the lines for her hands. You want to make this semi-realistic, so you don't want to make it, you know, you want to make sure you're putting the right anatomy where it's supposed to be. So I had a picture I was looking at my phone that I took that I wanted to base this off of. So I've switched over to Sharpie so that you guys can see it a little bit better. But just showing you, I'm going to create her body and her arms. Again, I'm using those lines from the hands to make her arms. And this is always what I like to do first. Get an idea. There's so many different things you can turn the Mona Lisa into. And then I moved on to her hair. I wanted to add her hair. And you can play around with hats, hair, so many different ideas and styles. But I wanted to give her this kind of wild style of hair. And so it's good to have an idea before you go in, and you can do this project in so many different ways. It's endless. I had someone make Abraham Lincoln into the Mona Lisa, and it was a lot of fun and a great idea. So it's really, you have so much creativity you can use in this project. And so after I did her hair, I knew I wanted to put some lines in it. Today's drawing that I'm going to make for you guys is all about the lines. You'll see as I go through this, I add a bunch of different lines for texture. And this is a great idea too if you're somebody who maybe isn't confident in drawing. So after we get her body kind of figured out, you'll see that I use a lot of shapes and lines to create different layers in my art to make it interesting. So I'm not, trying to make this really realistic. I'm just adding some lines to give it some detail and some depth to my drawing. So I'm just drawing some lines where her hair would be. And it's done. It's pretty easy. Okay, now I'm going to move on to her shoulder. So I was thinking about where to put her shoulder because it's underneath her hair, the line I would put. So I'm going to start off with her hands. And again, making sure I'm using the right lines for her hands. But just kind of guide myself to her elbow and then up into where her shoulder would be underneath her hair. And that's a good demonstration of, the size of the body that you're making. So her arms are there that you can clearly see, as well as her shoulders. And then also her dress, or if you put pants, or however you're going to do the bottom design of her. But I just wanted to show you guys again. I'm kind of going by those guidelines of her arms for how I want to make her. But that's the first step, is to kind of draw out the body of the Mona Lisa. I'm also going to add this little ribbon here. It's just lines, and it makes it really easy to add some details. So I don't want to leave this completely blank. I want to be as creative as possible. So how am I going to go ahead and add in different details? And so I want that separation of our arm, so I went ahead and added that. And I'm going back and adding some details now to the dress. So the same idea as the hair of me just drawing straight lines, that's what I'm going to do for the dress. It's really simple. And again, if you are feeling not confident about drawing, there's so many ways that you can just add a line to make your art interesting. So I'm kind of doing this as a theme throughout my whole project. Just some simple lines, and they can be short lines or long lines or a combination of both. I like the idea of both. And then referring to the picture I also had up is really helpful when you're making art. So finding something to kind of be inspired by is helpful as well. So if you're making the Mona Lisa into Abraham Lincoln, maybe have a picture of Abraham Lincoln up on your computer while you work on it. I'm making some other lines in her dress. I just want to, again, making them a little bit shorter in the front. And it adds, you can see I'm building my artwork. And then I wanted to make her belt something stand out a little bit different, so I decided to color it in with my Sharpie. And when you're doing this project, you do not have to color. Coloring is optional because not everyone might have the art supplies that you have. But if you do have coloring supplies, I highly suggest taking the time, just like the examples I showed you, and using color, because color adds so much to your art. But using a pencil or even a Sharpie is totally fine. That way we can still see all the designs that you have. And you'll see at my finished product that I don't color it, just to show you how I can still add in a ton of detail even if I don't add the color in. And again, I'm just adding lines to her dress. And so you can see I'm almost finished with her outfit already. And it didn't take very long. And I'm adding some short lines and long lines just to make it interesting and switch up the variation. Perfect. Looks good. Okay, when I get to the point where I'm done making lines, it's what do I do next? So there's the background I have to complete now. I also have to think about what I'm going to do with her hands, because I'm thinking about what do I want her to hold as well in our artwork. So just getting some ideas, I probably want to make a horizon line. So that's what I'm doing right now. A horizon line is when the sky and the ground meet, and it's really great to put into your artwork. We don't want her floating. You want her standing in front of something. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I just went ahead and drew my horizon line, and that's a great set for where you're going to put things in your artwork. The next part is to figure out what I'm going to do with her hands. So I decided to give her a purse to hold on to. So I went ahead and drew the strap. And I'm going to color this in with Sharpie just so that way it really stands out. I want it to be, if you were doing this with pencil, you could go back and erase the part of her dress and you could put a design on the purse, but I really like that. I'm going to do this in the belt kind of in a darker black color. That way it really stands out. And this is a really simple shape just to draw a bag. Doesn't have to be fancy, but shapes are very important when we make art, so it's wonderful. And so all I'm going to do is color it in, and then that way I know it's a bag. And so think about how her hands are. What are you going to have them resting on or holding? And how can you make it even more creative? That's one of the things I'm looking for when I grade this, is how much time did you put in to making the background and the Mona Lisa? How creative were you? How much fun did you have? And all of those things are important when we're making artwork. So this is a great idea. You can also brainstorm before you make your art to make a list of things that you want to make the Mona Lisa. It is so great to kind of play around with different ideas. You could probably do the Mona Lisa in thousands of different ideas and ways for this assignment. So it's a lot of fun whenever we get to see everyone's that's different. And I'll be posting some of our classmates in our class gallery folder in Blackboard, so that way you guys get to see what everyone else has done. So now I'm thinking about how I'm going to do the background and what I'm going to add to make details. So I want to make her stand in front of a mall. That's kind of the idea, a storefront. That was kind of what I thought of. So I want to add some layers to the background. I want her to stand in front of it. So I'm going to go ahead and put all of these different lines to kind of give it some more depth. And it's really easy. Again, you do not have to be great at drawing to just do exactly what I'm showing you here. And I'm going to write mall. I think it's really nice to have it stand out, so that way clearly when you see it, that's what you know that she's standing in front of. So if you want to add text to your art, you're welcome to as well. And I'm just putting them kind of in bubble letters, and then I'm going to fill them in with, go back over with Sharpie to really make them bold and stand out. So again, nothing in here was really hard to draw either. And then I'm using lines just like I did in her hair and her dress to add some layers to our background. Think about how you can use shapes and different things to create artwork. Everyone would be able to do this. And so I may add some smaller lines and longer lines to our project. All right, now thinking about adding more lines to each of those little first horizon lines I made. So I went ahead and made some more dash marks. And you can do this in pen if you wanted to. I like Sharpie because it really stands out and you guys can see it really well at home. You can do it. I always tell students to draw in pencil first and go back over if you're going to outline, because if you make a mistake, you can erase. If I make a mistake, I can't. And then I'm going to draw a little separation here. I want this to be our glass window. So I'm adding more lines. This way I'm adding horizon, going horizon. I've added some vertical lines, some horizon lines, really playing around, but very similar. And I'm doing the same up here. So you can see it's really repetition of creating lines for this project. I want this to be really fun, kind of all fit together in the theme I'm doing, and be creative. And so I'm thinking about where I want to make another line right there. I was thinking I didn't want to put it right directly over her head, just off a little bit when I was designing this. And again, adding some more horizon lines, just little dashes in there to make up. And then I decided to add some brick to this. Thinking about different textures of the wall, I think brick is a lot of fun, and I'm just making little squares and then going back over in between the squares with the next layer of brick. So this is an easy, fast way of shapes to add texture to your drawing and detail. And it's different. So I'm just adding my bricks. You can go back and color this if you wanted to make it red or a different color for a brick, but I like that you can tell that it's a brick wall. Think about all the elements in your artwork. What can you do to add some extra detail? Detail is so important when we're creating art. So think about what you want it to look like and how can you maybe go back in and add a few things. And I actually was a little bit crooked here when I was drawing it, so some of my bottom bricks are a little bit longer. So I just went back and kind of fixed that at the bottom. But again, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. Your artwork will be unique to what you make it. And you can always make another one if you make a mistake. I just want to see how creative we are in this class. So make sure you're following directions. You're giving it a nice effort. You're adding a lot of detail and being creative. And that's what I look at when I grade. So I went ahead and added just a little bit of brick to the bottom since it was a little bit longer. And so now thinking about what am I going to add to our window? How do I want to make it look? I want it to look like maybe like a glass window. So thinking about the different textures, I just went ahead and added some more lines. And so that's the nice like reflection of our window to show that it's glass and not brick. And they're more dashes. Really simple. Again, it's kind of starting to come together. And then thinking about the bottom, I also wanted to add lines, but I wanted to do it in a different way. So I did kind of a curved line and a pattern on both sides and making it match. It really looks like it fits together. And so just to show you that you can do something so simple and easy and still have it come out that you've really put the time in and it looks like you've created this really awesome piece of artwork. So I just went ahead and did the same on the other side. I made it curve down to the right side. And I'm just making dashes. Thinking about all those different things. And if I wanted to go back and color this, I could color each section a different color. The brick, the glass, even this bottom part, and make them all in a really bold color. Think about what I'm going to color her dress, her hair, all the different lines. You can have a lot of fun with this, and her purse. So it's really fun to be creative. So I'm pretty much done here. I'm just going to go back and outline them all in a bold letters. I was thinking about, since I'm doing this in Sharpie, I really wanted that to stick out. But that is pretty much it for this project, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I can't wait to see what you do. Everyone's artwork will be totally different from one another's, which is so much fun. And once you submit it, and I've had it graded, I'm going to go ahead and upload a few of them to our class gallery so you can take a look at what your other classmates have completed. And I really hope you enjoy this. Next week, we're going to talk about the Mona Lisa and what happened to it. It just to give a little spoiler for next week is that the Mona Lisa actually went missing for quite some time. So we're going to talk about some current and past history with the Mona Lisa and where it's currently located today. But again, I'm really happy that you are all really enjoying this lesson. It's a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see what you create. But I will see you guys in the next one, and send me an email if you have any questions about this assignment or anything else in art class, or I'll see you in office hours. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.